Odin. Several medieval rabbis and Jewish Torah scholars began to locate the 10 lost tribes, but the location greatly varied. Maimonides wrote, "I believe the 10 tribes to be in various parts of Europe." 87 Moses ben Isaac Edrei, 1774–1842, a Moroccan-born rabbi and Kabbalist, also believed the lost tribes of Israel were located in Europe, writing in his historical account of the 10 tribes, 1836. Ordelius, that great geographer, giving the description of Tartary, notices the kingdom of Arsareth, where the 10 tribes, retiring, succeeded other Scythian inhabitants, and took the name Goth or Goths, because they were very jealous for the glory of God. In another place, he found the Naphtalites, who had their hordes there. He also discovered the tribe of Dan in the north, which has preserved its name. They further add, that the remains of ancient Israel were more numerous here than in Muscovy and Poland, from which it was concluded, that their habitation was fixed in Tartary, i.e. Scythia, from whence they passed into neighboring places. It is no wonder to find the 10 tribes dispersed there, since it was no great way to go from Assyria, whither they were transplanted, having only Armenia betwixt them. 88. In the 4th book of Ezra, the 10 tribes were said to have been carried by Hosea in the 8th century BC to the Euphrates, at the narrow passages of the river. From there they went on a journey of a year and a half to a place called Arzareth, referring to the Araxes, a river that borders Armenia, Iran, and Azerbaijan. The Araxes River is related to the legend of Sambatian, which according to rabbinic literature, is the river beyond which the lost tribes were exiled, observing the laws of Moses, until the time of the restoration. The river rages with rapids and throws up stones 6 days a week, but stops flowing every Sabbath, the day Jews are not allowed to travel. According to the 12th century Arab historian Muhammad al-Idrisi, who lived in Palermo, at the court of King Roger II of Sicily, the city of Sarmel, Sarkal on the Don, was situated on the river Al-Sabt, Sambat, which is the river Don. The name for Kiev, as given by Constantine VII Porphyrogenitus, 905–959, is also Sambatas. 89. Arzareth or Arsareth is likely the same as Asgard, the legendary home of the Scandinavians and Saxons. Some etymologies proposed that the word Scythians, from Sassi, in turn is derived from Isaac's sons or sons of Isaac. 90. As noted in the Jewish Encyclopedia, the identification of the Sassi, or Scythians, with the 10 tribes because they appear in history at the same time, and very nearly in the same place, as the Israelites removed by Shalmaneser, is one of the chief supports of the theory which identifies the English people, and indeed the whole Teutonic race, with the 10 tribes. 91. Strabo asserts that the most ancient Greek historians knew the Sassia as a people who lived beyond the Caspian Sea. Ptolemy finds the Saxons in a race of Scythians, called Sakai, who came from Media. 92. Pliny said, the Sakai were among the most distinguished people of Scythia, who settled in Armenia, and were called Sassisani. 93. Albinus, the learned tutor of Charlemagne, maintained that, the Saxons were descended from the ancient Sassi of Asia. 94. A tradition that the Saxons are descended from the Sassi has also been recorded by both Camden in his Britannia, 1607, and John Milton in his History of Britain, 1670. Camden agreed with the opinion that the Saxons descended from the Sassi, the most considerable people of Asia, and to be so-called quasi-Sakasones, qd. sons of the Sassi, and to have gradually overspread Europe from Scythia or Sarmatia Asiatica, with the Geti, Suevi, Daci and others. 95. As reported by Strabo, the Persians celebrated a festival called Sassia, named after the Sassia, which derived from the ancient Babylonian Zagmuk, which involved sacred the killing of the king. According to Strabo, the Sassia as it was found in Asia Minor was celebrated alongside the worship of the Persian goddess Anaitis, the mother of Mitras. Strabo describes it as a Bacchic orgy, held at the spring equinox, at which the celebrants were disguised as Scythians, and women drank and reveled together day and night. 96 James Fraser pointed out what he considered a striking parallel to the killing of the king ritual, found among the limited monarchy of the Khazars, where the kings were liable to be put to death either on the expiry of a set term or whenever some public calamity, such as drought, dearth, or defeat in war, seemed to indicate a failure of their natural powers. The evidence for the systematic killing of the Khazar kings, drawn from the accounts of old Arab travelers, has been collected by me elsewhere. 97. The Saxons, like the Vikings, claimed descent from a Hunnish leader named Uldin, later Odin, or Wotan. According to the Ynglinga saga, written from historical sources available to the Icelander Snorri Sturluson, an Icelandic historian of the 13th century, Odin came from the land of Asgard, which was on the northwestern coast of the Black Sea, at the basin of the Don River. Snorri Sturluson speaks of Odin, the ancestor of the Scandinavians, making ready to journey out of Turkland, and was accompanied by a great number of people, young folk and old, men and women, and they had with them much goods of great price. Snorri here speaks of the land east of the Don River being known as Asaland, or Asaheim, and the chief city in that land was called Asgard, the home of Odin. The city may have been Jaskar, located in the area of the Caucasian Ridge, called by Strabo Aspargum, the Asperg, or Castle of the Uzzes. 98. The Icelandic sagas the Prose Edda and the Heimskringla, also compiled by Snorri Sturluson, recount that the ancestors of the Norse kings resided east of the river Don, and were led by Odin, or Uldin, who had vast holdings south of the Ural Mountains. He and his people were known as Azes, or Aesir, and after many battles, he left two brothers in charge of his domains, along a ridge of the Caucasus Mountains, called Asgard, likely Shaskar, and with his people headed north. This would have been approximately 450 AD, when Odin's descendants were said to have founded the nations of the Danes, Swedes, and Norwegians, and in Germany, the Saxon tribes. Thor Heyerdahl had suggested the people noted by Snorri as the Azes, or Alans, or the Aesir, may have been the Azeris of Azerbaijan. 99 In turn, the Azeris are descended from the Medes, and genetic researcher David Foe has discovered that of all the groups anywhere, only the genetic samples from the Azeri contained haplotypes that were very similar to participants tested in the Shetlands, settled by Vikings. 100.